There's been 2,530 different makes of cars made in this country, and here's 2 rows of the orphans, the ones that were left without a manufacturer. Some of them are luxury cars and some of them are just plain cars, but they're all very fetching to me. I think you have to be what they call a gearhead. You have to just have an innate desire to see an ancient piece of machinery come back to life. That's what I thought when I saw my first automobile in front of a gas station in downtown Oklahoma City. I know I could make that thing run again, and I did. I'll be 90 in September, and I'm in good shape, and I intend to remain that way so I can enjoy these cars. And I do get a thrill when I walk down that line there and look at those cars and remember each one of them, what it took to get it back in the condition that it is. All right, guys, what I tell visitors when they come in here is all these cars to fit my qualifications for a collector car is they have to have acetylene gas headlights, kerosene side lights, and the steering column is on the wrong side. This automobile right here will make probably, it feels good at 55, but at 65 something would start coming loose. Remember, back in the days when this car was on the road, they were all dirt except a few paved roads in cities. You couldn't make 55. Probably running along at 35 would be, if the road was fairly decent. And about half the time you were out fixing a flat because of all the horseshoe nails and rocks in the road. They're very primitive, and they're slow speed, and they take a lot of attention. You're constantly adjusting, you're constantly greasing them and dealing with them. These are acetylene gas. On the running board, it has bottled gas, similar to what you'd use on your barbecue. To light this light, you'd open the you'd have a match ready. You'd go around and turn the valve on the gas bottle just a little bit, and you come around here, and the last thing you do before you stuck your match in there is blow it really hard to get the accumulation of that acetylene out of there, because it will blow up in your face. One of the things an old timer told me one time, he said, just remember this. He said, if you, in the old days, you got out and you stopped your car at night with that light burning, and you went to crank it again, you had to remember not to put your hand on it. It would be frying hot. It would just ruin your hand. So I'm sure the first time anybody ever did, they didn't do it the second time. This light here is what we call a side light. It's like a parking light became back later during the electric times. That is operated by kerosene. It has a kerosene fount in the bottom, and you'd light it with an ordinary match after opening the gate. And it has that bail on the top, so if you had to change a tire at night, you could undo the screw and lift it off and use it for a trouble light by your tire. This automobile is a little bit different because for 2 reasons. It bears the name of a Rochester, New York patent attorney who patented the American automobile and got royalties from all the manufacturers except Ford and Rambler through 1911. Also, it's the only assembled car in here. This automobile was assembled out of parts. Nothing was made in-house. All these other cars down the line, most of them made their own engines, transmissions, rear ends, etc. This has got a Continental engine, a Borg-Warner transmission, a Western Mott rear end, and probably an O.A. Smith frame. For that reason, it's an assembled car. the Continental engine is still made. They make airplane engines now, so it's got a quite a lengthy heritage. But it's still a very fine automobile. It's got the little engine is 4-cylinder, and the car runs quite well. It was found at 29th and South Avenue behind a barn when that was open country. And it was sold new originally in Oklahoma City to Charles Petrasic, a farmer down there. Now this car is a roadster, but it has a mother-in-law seat on the back. Now why, whoever named it mother-in-law, I have no idea. But that's what they were called, mother-in-law seats. And I guess it was somebody's idea of a joke, but I'm sure a mother-in-law would have fit quite well in it. And this little thing folds down, so if you're going too fast, you won't be disturbing the wind too badly. I think arguably it is the finest 4-cylinder pre-1905 automobile that survived. It was a luxury make of the time, and it would have taken it was very expensive. It would have taken a real fat cat to own a car like this. I first saw it in England when on the London to Brighton tour. Because it's a 1904, it's eligible for the famous English London to Brighton tour. And the Brits had a law against automobiles through 1896. They had a law that said if you were on one of their roads in an automobile, you had to be preceded by a man on foot carrying a red flag. The railroad interests in their parliament caused that. In 1896, they repealed the law, and ever since they've had, in the first week in October, the London to Brighton tour. 300 pre-1905 automobiles leave Hyde Park Corner, and this was one of them at the time I was there, and drives to Brighton, England on the sea coast, about 53 miles. And I saw it on that London to Brighton tour and coveted it at that time. Didn't think about ever owning it, but I would have loved to have had it. And then about 5 years later, a guy from Kalamazoo, Michigan called me. This car had belonged to Boulton Upjohn of the Upjohn pharmaceutical family. He said, "Hey Don, that Peerless is for sale." He said, "You're the first guy I've called." And I said, "It's so much money, and if you want it, you got to make your mind up, because I'm going to tell some other people." So I made my mind up and bought it off the telephone, and found out later he'd offered it to 5 people besides me, before me. But anyway, he did get me to do it, to buy it, and I have enjoyed it. We took it to Bermuda, took it on a tour in Bermuda.